Day one of the draft is in the books, and the Kings were actually involved. They walked in the day without a pick. They end up taking that 2027 Spurs pick that they got in the Fox deal, protected it 1 through 16, and shipped it to Sam Presti and the Champs, Oklahoma City, for pick number 24, and they draft Nique Clifford. We're going to drop a huge podcast tonight, recording late because Morgan's not back in Sacramento yet. She was doing the Valkyries Liberty game, but we're going to go over this pick, what Scott Perry had to say about it, and Sam Amick dropped some Kings rumors regarding free agency. We're going to cover all of that on a big podcast once Morgan is here, and we're recording like after midnight. Who cares? It's draft time. It's free agency. I live for this shit. Anyway, we need to learn more about Nique Clifford because let's be honest, I don't know how many of us are grinding tape at Colorado State. There are a lot of draft sickos out there, and I appreciate draft sickos because we get to pick their brains like this guy. I call him a guy now because he was once a kid. He was like 14, 15 years old, breaking down draft prospects on our show. Now he's in his second year at Cal. Our guy Praneel is in the building, and we get his perspective on Nique Clifford, a pick that he really, really likes. So let's get to it, and we're dropping more content along the way. So the first round of the draft is over. Starting the day, the Kings did not have a pick. And I'm really excited to talk about the fact that the Kings ended up the night with a first round pick. To talk more about it, bringing on someone that we have had on our podcast around draft time or during the draft for the last like 3 to 4 years, I think, right? He is the one and only, now just an adult, just like a grown person. You used to be a little boy, and now you're a grown-up. Praneel Chellapilla with us. Super excited to talk with you, man. How you doing, dude?
Doing great. Been a very eventful draft night. There was a lot of surprises. It was super fun to watch, and excited to talk about what the Kings did.
Well, let's talk about it because Sacramento, we're watching the draft. We're all talking in group chats. The Kings are going to make a move. And as it went later and later, you're going, maybe they don't make a move for a first-round pick. There was some noise last night from Mark Stein that, hey, they could be looking in the 20s, maybe 24 with OKC. That ends up being the case. They trade up in this draft. They trade a 2027 pick that is a Spurs pick. It's protected 1 through 16. If it doesn't convey in 27, it turns into 2 seconds. They trade that to Oklahoma City for the rights to pick at 24, and they select Nique Clifford from Colorado State. You, of course, do so much homework when it comes to these college prospects. Like, what was your initial reaction to one, like what the Kings gave up to move up to 24, and then who they ultimately selected?
Yeah, starting on what they gave up, I thought trading away that San Antonio pick, which wasn't going to be worth much anyways, was a slam dunk. Top 16 protected in 2027. I expect San Antonio to be very good. So you're basically trading like a late 20s for a 24, which is fine. So that's good right there, right away. And then Clifford, at the board at 24, I had one guy ranked above Clifford, and that was Jace Richardson. I love Jace Richardson, but Clifford is no consolation prize. I had him 13th on my big board.
Wow.
He is fantastic. You're looking at a 23-year-old 6'6" wing, very, very productive. I literally have no flaws on him as a player. Outside of draft age.
No flaws?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, because he's a 23-year-old prospect who turns 24 in February, you have concerns, obviously, at how good he can become. But I'll rattle off some stats right now. 9.6 rebounds per game. He's a very high-level rebounder for a 6'6" guard or forward, wing, whatever. 1.7 assist to turnover ratio with 4.4 assists per game. He was a primary initiator a lot, and he was very good at it. He's a good passer. At the NBA, he won't be like a one or a true initiator. He'll be more of a connector or secondary playmaker, which is completely fine. Very good shooter. 77.7% from three, 38.9% on catch and shoot threes. See what it's right there. Everything that he can do is very apparent when you watch him. He's a really good rim finisher. 66% rim finishing, and made a huge impact on the game with an 11.1 BPM. And defensively, I can't say enough. I like him more on defense than I like him on offense. He is incredibly switchable, very versatile, great on ball, gets in passing lanes off ball. And I envision him as like a perfect glue guy. He can do anything you need him. He can put the ball on the floor, pass, dribble, shoot, rebound, and defend. Everything you need on the basketball court.
And would you say he can defend multiple positions? How,
100%.
what positions do you think he can defend?
He's 1 through 3. I think he's not big enough to really guard bigs like bigger fours, fives, but 1 through 3 is fantastic. And what I love about getting Nique Clifford here is his skill set, especially on the defense side of the ball, gives you a lot that gets guys like Keon and Keegan much needed rest because they basically carried your defense last year, especially in the second half of the year. And Nique Clifford is a fantastic defender, and that is where he'll make his money from day one, as well as 3-point shooting. It's a 3-and-D guy that can still do a little bit on top of that. And to get a guy that I had ranked in the lottery in my big board at 24 and giving up a late first to get him is fantastic. It's a huge win. And I'm sure if all Kings fans are scrolling on Twitter right now, there are other people that are saying the same thing. And I'm very happy with this pick. I think Nique Clifford is fantastic.
Yeah, and you see his development over the last couple of years. It's a guy that started at Colorado, maybe not getting the opportunity that he thought he would, ends up at Colorado State. In the last couple of years, you've seen the numbers go up dramatically, as you just kind of pointed out. I think the one knock on him you're hearing is the age thing, where it's like, okay, this guy's 20, he's going to be 23, he's 23 now, going to be 24 in February. Was it worth a pick at 24 in the first round for a guy who's an older guy? I always think that's funny because it's like, yeah, maybe you're not getting a superstar level player there, right? But like, can you find a player who can help you? And I feel like based on what you're talking about, based on some of the stuff I've watched, you go, oh yeah, you could see how this guy would help. It doesn't really matter that he's 23 years old.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And I mean, for anyone that was worried, like thinking, oh, we traded up for a guy that's 23, I say look at the NBA Finals and look at the guys that played on that court. Andrew Dempart is a versatile, multi-positional defender that can pass, dribble, shoot. Lou Dort is a multi-positional defender that can pass, maybe not pass, but dribble and shoot, right? Jalen Williams would be like, that's obviously an all-star level player, but
Sure.
still multi-positional defender who can pass, dribble, shoot. And when you look at the NBA right now, when you look at the guys that are making impacts on winning teams, you look at guys that can pass, dribble, shoot, and defend. And Nique Clifford does all three of those things at a very high level. And especially the rebounding. I think his rebounding shows motor, it shows hunger to win, and it shows the guy that will come in and do the little dirty things. And Nique Clifford, outside of Condapel, who I named the most scalable player, and when I say scalable, I mean guys that can play as like a role player to more than role player, more like a star. And Nique Clifford is the second best guy in that role, where he's a guy that can scrap, get on the floor, be a 3-and-D guy, and in spaces also handle the basketball, hit pull-up jumpers, play make, really survey the floor as like a high-level on-ball player on offense. And that's what I love about Nique Clifford is he's so comfortable in whatever role you give him. It really screams winning player. And I see so many players that played at a high level in the playoffs in Nique Clifford.
And we're all sitting here trying to figure out, like, hey, what kind of player does Scott Perry like? I mean, we've heard him talk about wanting toughness and defense, and it does feel like Clifford is the type of guy that checks some of these boxes, right? Like you talk about the rebounding and defense. Like the Kings need size at the wing spot. He's not the biggest wing ever, right? 6'6", 6'8" wingspan, but it seems like his activity is there. And the Kings just need these type of players. You know, again, they've got a flawed roster. They got a lot of work to do. But when you're trying to build this thing out and you're trying to change like the culture and build an identity, this is seemingly the type of player that you would want part of your team.
100%. And when I look at outside of the core four, the highly paid guys, I look at guys like Keegan, I look at guys like Keon, I look at guys like Nique Clifford. I even want to say Devin Carter. I know his future is somewhat uncertain in Sacramento. I see guys that are winning level players. They get on the floor, they make winning plays, they can shoot the basketball, and along with Carter, Nique Clifford can rebound the hell out of the basketball. And it makes me very excited because if you end up going into the season with three of these four guys in town, they do a lot of the same things with the basketball in their hands. You need guys like Clifford, you need guys like Keon, you need guys like Keegan who can make an impact without the basketball. And that's what really makes me excited about Nique Clifford is he can make an impact with or without the basketball. And I'm super excited to see him in a Kings uniform.
So what would be something about him that you're a little uncertain about at the next level?
I think based off of what the Kings have right now, you won't see him in an on-ball role, which is unfortunate. There was a statistic that really stood out to me. He was 95th percentile in PNR and isolation attempts in the NCAA, and that is something he can do at a high level. It's just with how the Kings are built right now, you won't see him do that. He'll be sort of pigeonholed in a role that I still think he can be very good at, which is 3 and D, but you'll see sort of a cap on a ceiling, which obviously you can't really help. It's the NBA. You're gonna have to play your role. And uncertainty wise, I think that for a team that really wanted a wing, like a true forward, a small forward, I think Nique's more of a two. So you might not get a guy. You might not see a lot of those Keon, Clifford, Keegan lineups. You can see him here and there, but I think Clifford's more of a two. So it'll be less locking up wing defenders, maybe more locking up guards, smaller wings, things like that. But yeah, from like I'm currently struggling to think of things that I don't like about him when I think of tools, right? Like this is a guy that I can see do everything on the basketball court, and I'm really excited that he's a king.
Yeah, I mean, based on what I've seen, it's like to me at that spot, it's almost a no brainer to take a look at somebody like this. And you know, it's tough too. I struggle a little bit because it's like there's so much still unknown with this team, and we see them in so many rumors, whether it's Malik or Devin or who knows what else they could do, DeMar DeRozan. So it's so hard to judge it. But if you're just judging solely based on like the tools he has and what he can bring to a team, you're like, oh, this seems like a guy that could fit on any NBA team. It's just like you plug him in, you're like, oh yeah, like he can come in and be impactful.
100%. And yeah, he's a guy that I did a couple mock drafts earlier, and my most recent one I had him going 15 to OKC.
Whoa.
And I thought the world of him. I thought he was a guy that could go. I thought he was a lotto level guy. I thought he'd go in the lottery. I was very surprised that he made it this far. And I think when you look at the draft like 4 or 5 years from now, you're looking at, damn, how did that guy fall? I think Andrew Nemhard was a big name in I think 2022 as a guy that fell. Nique Clifford can easily be that name. He can easily be a guy that you look back on, you're thinking, how did he come to 24 and he's an impact player on a good team? And I think Nique Clifford 100% could be that guy.
Why do you think he was there at 24?
Um, I was looking, obviously, watching the draft. Guys that went above him that came to mind: Nolan Traore, I should say, Casper Siakashounis. There are guys that are a little bit raw but younger, obviously. And I think Johan Berenjay, who's super raw but he's younger. And I think with how the draft unfolded, there were a lot of lotto or like younger teams like Brooklyn, Washington, Utah, all took guys that I think they saw more potential in, guys that they can develop, which is why I think Nique fell to that range. Nique is more of a finished product. Uh, he is the player that you'll get. I don't see a lot of growth from that,
Hmm.
but the player that you get is a guy that will be very impactful, which is why I think he fell. Once you got to that late 20s range, you'll have more winning teams that are selecting from there. So that's a big reason why I thought.
Praneel, I love the breakdown, and we should. Our listeners have known you over the years too, and now you're going into year two at Cal, right?
Yep.
Year
Yep.
two at Cal. Tell the people what you're up to with your internship too, because I think this is pretty cool.
Yeah, so I just started working at a college basketball analytics company called PlayVision. Take a look. I think it's PlayVision AI on Twitter, PlayVision AI on Instagram. Super cool company. I'm very excited to work there. We're building a lot of cool stuff in the college basketball analytics world. Super grateful to be interning there this summer. And so yeah, take a look. I did a little breakdown on Jace Richardson. I think it was yesterday on their account. And yeah, make sure to follow both those accounts. It's a very cool company, and I'm super excited to be working there. But yeah,
So basketball could still be in your future then, because I know you have so many other
100%.
interests. Like, do you think like if you had like a dream job, it would still be in a basketball front office?
100%. That's still the goal. I
Dude.
still want to make make changes. If it was up to me, 10 years, 15 years down the line, I would be running the Sacramento Kings, and bringing happiness to the team that I love so
Do you
much.
think you would like leak stuff to me just and not that I put out there just so I would know, just because of our
Oh,
relationship over the years, or no?
I mean, we both know there are people, very smart people that get leaked information. So maybe you're on that list. We'll
Hell
see.
yeah. Hell yeah.
First, have to get there. First, have to get. There's a lot of work that needs to be done to get there.
Okay. Any other names that you're keeping an eye on for Sacramento in the second round at all? Do you have a second round big board that you did?
Yeah, there are a lot of guys that I still had on my big board that weren't taken in my first round. Adolf Thero, I really like. That is shout out Jack the Kings fan. That's
Yeah.
Jack the Kings fan guy. Ryan
And
Kalkbrenner,
and
I
just
still
the
think,
Kings did work him out too.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is why I think if he's there, that's slam dunk. He's a 6'8", incredibly athletic wing, very good play finisher, can defend. And I think shooting is still something that can be in the works for him. He's a one of those growth spurt guys. So when you grow taller as you're developing in your late teens, your jump shot can get messed up, which is why I still have hope that he can develop as a shooter. Even though he's a little bit older, I think he's 21 years old. But Adot Thero is awesome. Brian Kalkbrenner, I'm not super sold on Valanciunas being the backup big for the future. I think that I've heard him in rumors as well, so I'm not sure. But I really like Ryan Kalkbrenner. I think getting a center that doesn't foul, protects the rim, finishes at the in the painted area, and has shooting potential. He shot the ball somewhat. I think he had 64 attempts, shot around 34% from three. That's a guy that will return a lot of value. There are names like Zach Edey, Daniel Gafford, Brandon Clark, who all had very similar college basketball numbers to him that returned a lot of level value in their respective draft classes. And last name I have is Noah Penda. Noah Penda is fantastic. He is a French wing, very, very good cutter. I think he'd be a great fit next to Sabonis. So those three names I have an eye on right now.
Praneel, you're the best, man. Thanks for taking the time, hop on for a few minutes and break this all down. And I'm proud of you. I know you got a long way to go, but you're just like, you're killing it, dude. Like, just enjoy this journey you're on, this basketball journey, and wherever life takes you, man.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, pleasure to talk to you always.